Two killed, one abducted as gunmen attack Nigeria Defense Academy. Federal government activates sanitation deaths as cholera cases rise. A new Zambian president takes oath of office. A warm welcome to you and thank you for joining us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. The Nigerian Defense Academy (NDA) has confirmed the killing of two of its officers and abduction of a senior officer by unknown gunmen who invaded its permanent site in Afaka, Kaduna State in the early hours of Tuesday. The bandits, who came in a vehicle, were said to have disguised in military uniforms. The Academy Public Relations Officer, Major Bashiru Jajira, in a statement released shortly after the incident, said the security architecture of the NDA was compromised by unknown gunmen who gained access into the residential area within the academy. Jajira added that security agencies have commenced pursuit of the unknown gunmen. He also assured that the NDA community and cadets are safe in the academy, adding that the gunmen would soon be apprehended and the abducted personnel rescued. Joining us on the news to discuss more on this is Dr. Ndu Nwokolo, a partner and chief executive at Nexia Security, Peace and Development. Thank you very much for joining us. In the words of the NDA spokesperson, the security architecture of the institution was compromised. What are your thoughts on this?
First, it shows that there's a lot of infiltration, which they really don't want to tell us. But it's important for us to understand here that governance is an issue in the country. Governance from all ramifications, security governance, political governance, economic governance. For whoever is referred to as bandits to have the I want to use the word audacity to attack Nigeria's famous military training academy shows that our continuous reference to them as bandit is not what it is. If you look at what bandits should be, bandits attack because they want to gain an economic gain. Maybe kidnap people, maybe collect taxes from people. But the situation where they are attacking the state institutions, state security institutions, these are no longer bandits. These are terrorists. So they are making two moves, both political and economic gains. So it's important that the Nigerian state come out to identify these people as terrorists and deal with them as so.
This type of attack sent to citizens and security agencies?
Of course, one could say that if gold can rust, what will iron do? So if they can attack Nigerian Defense Academy, then it means that the porosity of what we've been experiencing as citizens without armed shows that our continuous belief that the state is the only person that controls arm is not true. For these unknown gunmen, as they are equally referred to have the audacity to attack the Nigerian military academy, equally shows us that they can do whatever thing they can do. It means that the state is weak. Let's just understand that the Nigerian state is weak, and they have cashing on the porosity and the weakness of the Nigerian state to continue to perpetrate this atrocity. So it is very important for us to understand that not only are they attacking state institutions, they are attacking citizens, and it shows that they have the wherewithal to take Nigerian state to any fight that we want them to do. So it's important for us to start treating them as terrorists and find a way to deal with it.
But Dr. Ndu Nwokolo, a partner and chief executive at Nexia Security, Peace and Development, thank you very much for your contributions. Away from security now to health, the National Association of Resident Doctors, NAD, has said it would not return to work despite the ruling of the National Industrial Court sitting in Abuja, ordering the union to suspend its ongoing strike action, which commenced on August 2nd, 2021. Justice John Tagema gave the order on Monday while delivering his ruling on an ex parte application brought before the court by the federal government. The judge asked all parties in the suit to suspend all forms of hostilities and maintain the status quo pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. But the doctors have said there is no going back. Earlier, I spoke to the spokesperson of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Oludotun Oshikoya, and I began by asking him the next line of action for the union following the court order.
It's always our prayer that we should go back to work and to go and see our patients as soon as possible. Unfortunately, it's the government that is prolonging the issue. You know, they said they signed an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. I don't know the essence of signing another memorandum after having serial signing with Nigerian Medical Association, which happened to be a parent body. 48 hours after, they quickly rushed to court to seeking for injunction against us to compel us to go back to work. Unfortunately, the judgment was given that everything should remain status quo, which me and you can interpret in any way. Where the one you are hearing up and down that we should go back, that there has been, we are given an injunction, we are forced by the court to go back to court. That's interpretation from Ministry of Labour and Employment.
So if you're against the government taking you to court, in what other ways would you want the government to engage with you? And since there's been no headway from your meeting so far?
Let them pay our salary. As you are sitting down there, they are owing you for almost 7 months. Will you be able to go to work? Or is the minister of everybody working in the Ministry of Health or Ministry of Labour, are they not being paid salary every month? Do you know that in this country, when we say we don't have doctors, enough doctors, federal government is casualizing doctors in this country, that you are saying you are renewing their contract every month. You casualize them, at the same time you are not paying them their salary. So what will happen next? Saudi interview is coming next week. They had one this week. What is going to happen? Mass exodus of doctors out there. People who just travel. You are making us to suffer. At the same time, you are victimizing us by instituting no work, no pay. You didn't pay our work we have done. You want to do no work, no pay. Is that not injustice?
Well, that was a spokesperson of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Oludotun Oshikoya, speaking earlier on the latest development on the union strike. Well, still on health matters, poor environmental sanitation and hygiene practices have been identified as a primary cause of cholera infection in Nigeria, which according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has killed more than 900 people. To this end, the Minister of Environment, Mohammed Abubakar, says the government will deploy sanitary inspectors to schools and restaurants in the country as part of efforts to tackle the outbreak. But are these measures enough to curb this killer disease? Details in this report. An environment like this is a perfect breeding ground for cholera. Sadly, sites like this can be found in many communities in inner suburbs and slums across the country. Cholera is an extremely dangerous waterborne disease capable of killing an infected adult or child within hours if left untreated. Nigeria is currently battling with its worst bout of the disease, which has so far claimed the lives of over 900 people in 22 states and the Federal Capital Territory. To help curb infection rates, the federal government has decided to introduce measures to combat the disease through activating a sanitation desk nationwide.
This year's outbreak is very serious and continues to ravage many states, with more fatalities being reported on a daily basis. In responding to the recent cholera outbreak, the Federal Ministry of Environment has activated the sanitation desk in the 36 states of the Ministries of Environment and FCT, using them to carry out environmental sanitation activities in their various states aimed at containing the outbreak.
Also included in its program is an extensive sensitization on cholera and the importance of good sanitation and hygiene to prevent an infection.
The ministry has also requested the environmental health officers in the states and local governments across the country to intensify their effort in carrying out sanitary inspection of premises and abatement of nuisances that could result in diseases outbreaks such as cholera, Lassa fever, and the rest of them.
The goal to eradicate cholera cannot be isolated from access to clean water and toilet facilities. According to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, 73% of the diarrheal and enteric disease burden is associated with poor access to adequate water, sanitation and hygiene.
I want to use the opportunity to urge the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and indeed the Federal Ministry of Environment, Water and Health to increase the awareness program on the danger of open defecation in the country. Most importantly,
this was a plenary session in the Red Chambers in March 2021, where a bill seeking to prohibit open defecations killed second reading. President of the Senate, Hamid Lawan, thereafter referred the bill to the Senate Committee on Water Resources to report back in 3 weeks. While it's not clear whether an update on the bill has been sent to the Senate, the casualties to cholera keep rising, leaving many dead and straining an already stressed health sector. Folashade Ogrinde, TV360 News. Away from health and now to politics, the Deputy National Chairman of South of the People's Democratic Party PDP, Yemi Akinwumi, has stepped in as the acting chairman of the party. This follows an order granted by the High Court in Rivers State on Monday, restraining Uche Secondus from parading himself as the national chairman of the party. Akinwumi, who proclaimed himself as the new party boss on Tuesday, also announced the indefinite postponement of the National Working Committee meeting planned for today.
Section 5, bracket 3b of the Constitution of the PDP empower me to summon and preside over party meeting in the absence of national chairman. In the absence of national chairman. 2. Our attention has been drawn to yesterday evening court order, which purportedly restrained our national chairman, Prince Uche Secondus, from summoning presiding over meetings of the national organ of the party. It's not mal making. 3. In the foregoing circumstance, as the Deputy National Chairman South, which is number 1 of the People's Democratic Party, after due consultation and in the exercise of said power, hereby deeming fit and proper to postpone the National Working Committee meeting earlier scheduled for today till further notice to allow broader consultation in overall interest of our party.
Secretary of State Governor Aminu Tambuwal has advised that open grazing be limited to areas where the culture is still being tolerated. The governor said this at the 63rd birthday celebration of the veteran journalist and lawyer Richard Akinola. Tambuwal also noted that open grazing is obsolete and should be dumped totally.
Herdsmen moving from one end to the other. I said this way back about 4 or 5 years in Aba when I visited the governor of Abuja State. Governor Paz, and commissioned a project that we should stop the current and ongoing mode of pastoralism. Time has come that we must all come to the terms and reality of the fact that it is not helpful, both for the Fulani herdsmen themselves, since it's a business, the cows, and the communities they are passing through. Why must someone from Sokoto be pursuing his cattle to Delta State? That's why in Sokoto State, when I came in, I inherited a program by Wamoko administration of bringing in cattle species from Argentina, doing some cattle insemination and ranching. And that program has been concluded by my government. We've sunk in billions of naira, and our herdsmen are queuing into that program in Sokoto State.
The Kebbi State Assembly has impeached the Speaker of the House, Abdulmumin Kamba, and his deputy, Muhammad Buhari Aleiro. The chairman of the House Committee on Information and Culture, Muhammad Tukur, announced the development after a closed-door plenary session on Tuesday. He said the Speaker was immediately replaced by Deputy Chief Whip, Muhammad Abubakar Lolo, while the Deputy Speaker was replaced by Muhammad Usman. According to Tukur, 20 out of the 24 members attended the session. He, however, did not disclose the reason for the impeachment of the principal officers. Original inhabitants in the nation's capital, Abuja, have partnered with the MacArthur Foundation and a civil society group to launch a 2-year project aimed at promoting their rights and addressing other challenges. The natives are demanding inclusion in governance as well as respect for constitutional rights to their land. Onyadekunle has the details.
Abuja, the nation's capital city, is one of the highbrow towns in the country with an estimated 3 million residents. While the city constitutes a melting point for individuals across various divides, the city also has its original inhabitants residing in over 850 communities. Decree 6 of 1976 gave the federal government rights over land within the territory, but over time the natives have suffered neglect. To address this, the Resource Center for Human Rights and Civic Education, with support from MacArthur Foundation, has launched a project to promote the interest of the original inhabitants.
This constitutional reform process is one opportunity out of many that we should take advantage of and try to challenge some of our notions about what is the status of this community, how can we respond to some of their challenges and some of the issues that are arising as a result of the constitutional lacuna that we have found ourselves. And I believe that with good intention and political support, even if we are not able to resolve all the problems of the FCT, of the indigenous people of the FCT, I'm sure that we may be able to respond to some of the immediate challenges.
We are at the final stage of getting the data of unemployed youths and vulnerable women across the area councils to enable us carry out needs assessment, which we intend to use for skill acquisition and other empowerment programs.
Stakeholders also demanded an inclusion of inhabitants in how their leaders are chosen, as well as better political representation.
We have seen a situation whereby a minister in FCT, after ruling FCT as a governor representing the president, go back to his state and contested election as governor won. He's serving 8 years now. We have seen it from Bala Muhammad in Bauchi. We have seen Erufa. So this is what you keep seeing. And those that are directly affected have no right whatsoever to elect their own leader.
We only have one senator representing us, and we only have 2 members, House of Representatives, representing us, which is very, very abnormal with regard to the Nigerian constitution. Let us be given equal right as state.
The 2-year project hopes to improve on the constitutional and socio-economic rights of the original inhabitants and advocate political as well as administrative reforms to accommodate their demands. Onyadekunle, TV360, Nigeria.
Well, let's take a break here, but still to come, Tokyo 2020 Paralympic takes off in Japan. Welcome back. Well, now we bring you a recap of some of our top stories. The Nigerian Defense Academy, NDA, has confirmed the killing of 2 of its officers and abduction of a senior officer by gunmen who invaded its permanent site in Afaka, Kaduna State in the early hours of Tuesday. The Academy Public Relations Officer, Major Bashir Jajira, said the security architecture of the NDA was compromised by unknown gunmen who gained access into the residential area within the academy. We also told you that the Deputy National Chairman South of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Yemi Akiwumi, has stepped in as the acting chairman of the party following an order granted by High Court in Rivers State on Monday, restraining Uche Secondus from parading himself as the national chairman of the party. Akiwumi, who proclaimed himself as the new party boss on Tuesday, also announced the indefinite postponement of the National Working Committee meeting planned for today. But in case you missed any of our news bulletin, or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are at TV360 Online. The Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, NPHCDA, says the agency could not deploy the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine to 8 states in the Federation. The NPHCDA boss, Faisal Shuaib, said this at a media briefing on progress of Phase 2 COVID-19 vaccination in Nigeria. Shuaib said the vaccines were not deployed to the affected state owing to their low level of preparation.
The remaining 8 states that we've not deployed the vaccines to have not demonstrated readiness in terms of their cold chain capacity. While on the one hand, they have the ultra cold chain equipment that the federal government supplied, but we've also required that they should have backup cold chain equipment. So either they have a working cold room, a working freezer, or a chest freezer. So if, for example, there is a power outage, there is that opportunity to quickly transfer the vaccines to a backup source. That way we do not risk the potency of the vaccines. So for these 8 states that have not provided that type of backup plan, we're holding off to the vaccines while we engage with them to ensure that they are adequately prepared before we send the vaccines. Again, this is in line with our commitment to make sure that only safe and potent vaccines are administered to all Nigerians.
We'll take a break here and return with more stories and business. To stay with us. Well, up next is business news and stock market review with Mary Kanu. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you very much, Folashade. And in business, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, says there is a need to reduce external borrowing through the blockage of revenue leakage from government agencies. Lawan said this after a visit to President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa on Monday. The Senate President also disclosed that the 2022 budget will make sufficient provisions for the security agencies and legacy projects of the federal government.
We have to make provisions, sufficient provisions for the security agencies and also sufficient provisions for our legacy projects. These are the major projects like the Second Niger Bridge, the Abuja, Kaduna, Kano highway, and so on and so forth, that these projects are completed within next year and Mr. President is able to commission them for Nigerians to benefit. These are projects that we have to make significant or sufficient provisions in the 2022 budget so that we're able to complete them. There are so many agencies of government that are not remitting their revenues, the internally generated revenues, and this is something that we have to address and address as stiffly as possible and as quickly as possible, because we need to find a way of reducing the borrowing that we do. So if there are areas that we can now get revenues that will help us reduce the amount of borrowing, then so be it. And this is something that we all agree with Mr. President, that we should continue to look at those areas that we need to improve on revenue collection, generation and collection.
We'll take a break and return with a review of the stock market. Don't go away. At the sound of the closing gong, the bull appeared on the floor of the Nigerian Exchange Group after the mild loss recorded in the previous day's trading. The market's total value went up by 13 billion naira as the all-share index is up today 0.07% at 39,460.68 basis points. Now, gains from the healthcare and financial services sector, represented by Morrison and Regolins, with 18 kobo gains, led the pack of top gainers. While a summary of today's trade sees 196 million shares exchange hands in 3,881 deals. Meanwhile, losing all gains made in previous days trading, FT and Cocoa topped the losers list and was closely followed by Courtville with over 70 kobo losses. Well, it's fingers crossed for tomorrow's trading. Let's see if the bull retains its presence. Now, to the global scene, what looked like a bad week for the foreign stock market last week has seen 2 days of positive gains as the FTSE, Dow Jones and Nikkei are all in the green. After falling as much as 0.46%, the FTSE is currently trading at 0.24%, helped by heavyweight mining stock. US stock Dow Jones rose on Tuesday to 0.15% as the approval of Pfizer's 2-shot vaccine was seen as clearing the path for more mandates and economic recovery. The bull has also taken charge of Asian stock Nikkei as the market is currently trading in the greens at 0.87%. Well, that's all on the stock market review. Over to Folashade for the rest of the news.
Well, thank you very much, Mary, for that update. On the foreign scene, Zambia's new president, Hakainde Hichilema, has been sworn into power after a complete election victory hailed as a rare triumph over authoritarianism and a milestone in African democracy. The 59-year-old convincingly won the 10th August 12 elections by getting more than 2.8 million votes to outgoing President Edgar Lungu's 1.8 million votes, achieving one of the biggest electoral wins in Zambia's history. In his victory speech to a cheering crowd, the president said it is a new dawn and time has come for all Zambians to be truly free. Well, up next is Entertainment Report.
Nigerian star Chike has revealed that a second album will drop on January 28, 2022. The album, The Brothers Keeper, will be a follow-up to his groundbreaking debut, Bull of the Bullless, which got an Eddie's nomination for Album of the Year. Producers of the upcoming album include Killer Tunes, Deyaso, Lauda, Echo, and more. The album, which will have 12 to 14 tracks, is inspired by the drastic change in Chike's life over the past 1 year. Bull of the Bullless has been one of Nigeria's most successful albums, producing hits like Running, If You Know Love, and Roju. Play Network Studio has announced a new collaboration with Film One Entertainment on the production of the remake of 2003 hit Nollywood comedy franchise Akinokwa. The anticipated remake, titled Aki and Popo, is set for release on December 17, 2021 and will be directed by Biodo Stephen. Chinedu and Osita Yeme will reprise their roles as Aki and Popo from the original film. The actors will star alongside Toyi Abraham, Real Worry Pikin, Uti, Stan Nze, MC Lively, Beverly Osu, Juliet Ibrahim, and Chioma Okafor. And that is all that's left for you in the entertainment segment of News Now.
Away from entertainment and out to sports, the Paralympics kicked off on Tuesday in the same empty national stadium as the opening and closing ceremonies of the recently completed Tokyo Olympics. The opening ceremony featured the national flags of 162 delegations represented, including the refugee team. Team Nigeria Paralympics will participate in 4 events: powerlifting, athletics, table tennis, and rowing. I need to wrap on our news bulletin. Thank you for watching. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.